I feel like a lot of us are holding ourselves back in ways that we might not even be able to see. I feel like a lot of our day to day, a lot of the things that we go through on maybe a minute level, on a grand level, are stuff that we could easily avoid. And when I say that, I mean we need to stop getting in our own way. I feel like regardless of what we do, regardless of our aspirations and how we wish to tend our life, a lot of us spend a lot of time holding ourselves back. A lot of time not doing the things we know we should do for ourselves and doing things that are maybe right for the moment. And it's okay to have that relaxation. It's okay to have those periods where we're like just relaxing. It's taking the time to be. But I feel like relaxation in this sense is only in reference to periods of work. Sometimes you have to put that work in order to feel what relaxation truly is. Because relaxation isn't a constant thing. It can't be. Stagnation can't be a constant thing. You know, in our periods of stagnation, or periods of where we don't feel like we're growing, that's when we're vesting, you know, our attention inside. I feel like that's when you start to burrow yourself into yourself and figure out the ways in which you can progress towards a better future. And I feel like sometimes we know the stuff we need to do. I feel like you know the things that would make you tend towards a better you or make you tend towards a better reality. And sometimes it's stuff we've already been doing. And sometimes it's stuff that, or maybe we did in the past that we stopped doing, that we need to get back on. And I feel like we don't realize how much correlation there is to putting in work and then uh, reaping your rewards. And also that relaxation. Because I feel like unearned, undeserved relaxation doesn't feel nearly as good as when you do something and then you relax. You know, I feel like part of self development is a feeling of fulfillment. Part of feeling good about yourself is fulfillment. You know, you have to feel good about what you're doing, but you also have to appreciate yourself. And that appreciation comes from doing things that tend towards your own development and growth. I'm only saying this because keep it a band. Um, I stopped doing a couple things that I was doing before, but I'm back on it now. But I stopped doing a couple things that were I feel like were helpful, and I didn't realize that they were helpful till I stopped doing them. So I feel like part of self improvement, at least in my case, is a trial and error. You know, you have to realize what things are beneficial to you and what things don't serve you. But in the realization of things that serve you, you have to make sure you're being intentional and sometimes work against maybe what your body's feeling, maybe what your mind's feeling in order to cultivate, you know, your spirit and what things actually attribute and contribute to your growth and development as a person. I feel like it's very easy to just say, nah, I'll put that off. No, I'm not going to do that. Nah, it really doesn't do anything because we don't see the results of it right away. But we need to stop holding ourselves back in that sense because we know. I feel like on a minute level, we know what we need. And I made a video like a year ago about that. You always know what you need. I feel like on a fundamental level, like people can't really tell you what you need for yourself. People can open the doors of your perspective and make you realize what you need. But at the end of the day, what you need is personal to you. So those answers are always going to be within you, not within other people. So as long as you take the time to be with yourself and be with your consciousness and realize what aspects of you are missing, what aspects of you need that attention, that renovation, that uh evolution, you got to sit there with yourself, you know, and being a friend to yourself. I always mention being a friend to yourself because I feel like it's very important. But being a friend to yourself isn't always just giving yourself grace and patting yourself on the back. It's pushing you forward. You know, sometimes that pat got to be a push. And that's just the reality of it. Sometimes, you know, sometimes life isn't always going to be rainbows and sunshine. I mean, it can. Some people live in their personal heaven or hell. But I feel like it's a dichotomy. It's the very existence of the other that makes the other one shine bright. Beautiful is only beautiful in reference to ugly sometimes. So you have to kind of take those things in turn. It's the duality of the two that makes everything beautiful. And once you learn to appreciate the negative, not necessarily the negative, but appreciate periods of growth, periods of learning, then I feel like all of self-improvement becomes that rainbows and sunshine, regardless of what you may be encountering. Because sometimes your self-improvement is going to be reflected by the world. Sometimes you'll look outside. Sometimes things will happen in your favor and you'll be like, oh yeah, like I'm doing this. But sometimes it might not work that way. I might just be saying that because that's my experience. But the way I see it, we tend up. We tend upward, and sometimes we tend towards the middle, and sometimes we tend downward. And it's all about that conscious effort and conscious realization of where we're tending and what we do in order to counteract that tending towards something. It's about your reaction to how your path is going. Whether or not you look at, oh, stuff's starting to go out my way. I haven't been locked in here. I haven't been locked in there, and things are starting to show that. So what you do to that information, that's what's important. Whether you hunker down, you start studying, you start doing all the things that you need to do in order to stay on top of your mental. And then you start tending back upward. And I feel like people who found that niche, that zone, realize that. They realize that, it's not always going to be 100%. But they're not going to get in their own way and hold themselves back from doing what they know is important to their development, cultivation of their identity and self. Their feeling of self, whatever it takes to get them back to themselves. I feel like sometimes we get rid of the things that serve us and we try to replace it with nothing. And you can't replace a vacancy. You can't have a vacancy within yourself. It's always going to be filled up by something. I feel like we as people attract either problems or blessings. You have to be cognizant of, what you're allowing to be funneled into your space. Your mind is a sponge. You have to be safe what you consume. And if you allow yourself to have too many vacancies and you consume something negative, it's going to become part of you. It's about putting your first foot forward and realizing that, in many ways, you're responsible for your own cultivation. And at the end of the day, you know what serves you and you know what you need. Get out your own way. Behind us is unlimited potential. Behind our eyes, I feel like it's a vast unknown that we feel like we've already explored, but no one really has. A vast known that's unexplored. We think we know a lot about ourselves, but I think we don't. It's because there's so many experiences, so many things that we have yet to do that show us new parts of ourselves. And I feel like once you get to that stagnation, once you start doing stuff repetitively and you start losing appreciation for that, that's when you intentionally appreciate. That's when you realize that it's not about, how it looks. It's about how you feel. How you feel about it. And sometimes, to be fair, you might need a new avenue of stimulus, a new reason, a new something. But that's the whole point of it. That's what makes it beautiful. Constant adaptation and adoption of new purposes and new ideas. That allow us to simply be who we are, but also change who we are. Making being a sort of fluid thing rather than a set in stone idea. Because who we are as people is simply just our idea of ourselves. And our idea of ourselves is reflected in how we interpret other ideas in this world. Sometimes it's down, sometimes it's up. And sometimes it's a matter of how you are. Are you up inside? Are you down inside? I don't know how to, articulate that better, but are you feeling good about yourself? Or are you feeling bad? And think about how you look at the world in those times. Be cognizant of how you look at the world in those times, because that's when it's really important. I feel like those negative feedback loops, positive feedback loops only become loops once we either fail to address the negative or fail to acknowledge the positive. When it's a positive loop, you want to keep doing the stuff that keeps you in that loop, keeps making you feel like how you're feeling, makes you feel like yourself. And once you get to that negativity, it's about learning when to stop, learning what's causing you to go down this path, learning what you're not doing for yourself or you're doing against yourself. Because sometimes it's both. All in all that to say, stop holding yourself back. I think in each and every one of us is a spark of divinity in a way. An inkling of divinity. And I don't mean that to sound like pretentious or something like everybody's God or something like that. But in a sense, non-religious sense, that everybody has something. Everybody's different. You know, we all have certain characteristics and certain things that make us special. And that's intentional. You know, every one of us is beyond comparison. Everyone's beyond external connotation. Only connotation that matters is us. And that's how we hold ourselves back too. We hold ourselves back by depending on others to hold us up, to push us forward. That's how we're holding ourselves back. Even in our perception of other people holding us back, we're holding ourselves back. Because it's always about how you perceive something to be. And of course, be realistic with your perception, but also be realistic with your action. Be realistic in how you treat yourself. You know, be intentional, be cognizant, be smart. Treat yourself like someone, treat yourself like someone you're trying to help. Treat yourself like a friend. And friends aren't supposed to hold each other back. So why would you hold yourself back? If you wouldn't want anyone in your circle, people you love, you care about to hold themselves back the same way that we do, then you shouldn't do it for yourself. I feel like our rapid progression, the progression of the individual is progression of the whole. The more you're able to help yourself, the more you're able to help others in a way. At least that's how I view it. You know, I don't necessarily know what it is, I don't really know how I got to the point I'm at, but I'm very, very not satisfied, but happy with where I'm at. You know, sometimes it's not about the relation to the past and who I was, but just the relation between now and who I am. You know, I'm allowed to feel good about myself. You're allowed to feel good about yourself, regardless of what situation you find yourself in. And all that to say, thank you. You made it this far in the video. Thank you so much. I'm probably gonna go live again tonight. Maybe. I went live the other day. Thank y'all for tuning in. Those of you who did. I'm gonna try to make it a more regular thing. I have a little bit more time on my plate nowadays. They may be sporadic. I can't promise you a set time or a set day. You're just gonna have to be there. I'm gonna post, should I go live tonight? And that usually means I'm going live that night. And when I say night, I mean Eastern Standard Time. Some of you was hitting me up at 5 a.m. saying yes. But thank you. All in all, thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you didn't, I did. And make sure you're being intentional. Make sure you're not holding yourself back. And make sure you're not allowing others to hold you back as well. Thanks.